One of our most challenging social problems are the persistent racial disparities in racial wealth, in housing opportunity, and filtering out into educational opportunity and employment opportunity. And the historical origins of those, I think, are particularly interesting and particularly challenging. I'm Colin Gordon. I'm the F. Wendell Miller Professor of History at the University of Iowa. I'm primarily interested in the historical origins of racial disparities, particularly those that are driven by racial segregation in American cities. And that would include, both what we often call the sort of neighborhood effects of segregation that affect people's upbringing, but also longer term dimensions like the racial wealth gap. My recent research has focused on the historical origins of racial segregation in American cities, particularly working on St. Louis and other Midwestern settings. I'm a historian by training, and my primary focus of research is I would characterize as sort of excavation of historical documents and historical data that help us understand the origins of racial segregation. During my year at Russell Sage, I'm writing a book on the use of private racial restrictions on real estate in Midwestern cities, leveraging some unique data sets that I and others have collected, mapping down to the parcel level, down to the individual house and neighborhood level in St. Louis, Minneapolis, and other settings. I think this work really changes in fundamental ways our understanding of the origins of segregation in American cities, in part by shifting our attention earlier to the actions of private actors that preceded the sort of infamous federal redlining of the 1930s and 1940s. And it draws, I think, more direct connections between those early private actions and persistent disparities and patterns of discrimination in private realty and private lending that run to the present day. My book, with the working title Patchwork Apartheid, looks at the pattern of private racial restriction in 5 Midwestern counties, running north-south on what we sometimes call the Avenue of the Saints, from St. Louis, Missouri to St. Paul, Minneapolis. Because these longstanding patterns of discrimination in real estate markets are one of the principal sources of the racial wealth gap, they're also one of the foundations in the debate about reparations. And in a number of settings, this evidence of these past practices has been useful in establishing funds for first-time homeowners and small-scale reparations programs for those who have been harmed. Russell Sage has offered a rare opportunity to work with an interdisciplinary group of scholars, particularly for an historian trained in the humanities, but at the social science end of the discipline. The insights of my fellow scholars, both in seminar and in casual conversation, have been invaluable to the development of this project.